The Western film genre has seen a revival of sorts in recent years, and often frequents our screens in one form or another. As it was once a staple of classic Hollywood cinema in its golden era, it is hardly surprising that it often plays on rather dated tropes of gender, race, and masculinity. This video essay will look to explore how these traditional tropes are being challenged and probed in today's screen media, looking specifically at film and television. We will assess the depth in which these areas are being addressed, and how, in many cases, a positive shift away from these outdated tropes can be seen in today's westerns. Firstly, we will look at the idea of race. Race traditionally played an important role in the western, with the Native Americans generally serving as opposition or bad guys. One critic stated that a repeated trope of the classical western was taming land taken from its savage populations. Today, this is less often related to race, so we will focus specifically on racial diversity. Some recent releases have worked hard on achieving a balance in racial diversity, as can be seen in the 2016 remake of The Magnificent Seven, which stars Denzel Washington as the lead. Along with Washington, Mexican actor Manuel Garcia Rodolfo features as a Mexican outlaw, and Martin Sesmeyer of North American tribal descent plays a Native American. Such diversity shows a clear contrast to the 1960 Magnificent Seven, which stars solely Caucasian males as the main supergroup, including 60s icon Steve McQueen. Other modern westerns which consider the topic of race on a more critical level include the works of Quentin Tarantino, specifically Tarantino's Django Unchained, which received largely positive reviews on release despite its challenging subject matter.
Now, I ask you, who this nigga on that name?
Hey, Snowball. You wanna know my name or the name of my horse? You ask me.
When questioned on his approach to racism and slavery in the film, Tarantino stated that it's time to tell a story that deals with this subject America has avoided for so long. Most countries have been forced to deal with the atrocities of their past that still affect them to this day, but America has been pretty slippery in the way that it has avoided looking slavery in the eye. The story, which essentially follows the character of a black slave played by Jamie Foxx as he attempts to rescue his wife from a plantation in Mississippi, takes the western in a new direction which was not previously explored, and features numerous scenes where the black male lead forces his authority on the secondary white figures. The second topic worth looking at is the issue of gender. As already mentioned, westerns came to prominence during the era of classic Hollywood cinema, and as a result, these films were largely male-dominated. Another repeated trope often associated with the classical western was domesticating the feminine within this new western world. Women, therefore, first and foremost, served as objects of visual pleasure, and were utilised by what Mulvey terms their to-be-looked-atness. These female characters were quite often relatively helpless, and traditionally did little to advance the storyline beyond getting themselves in trouble. While this unfortunately is still the case in certain screen adaptations, there are a number of examples which challenge this. Gonzalez mentions how modern westerns bring into question key aspects of the genre, like gender roles, and this is clearly evident in more recent examples of westerns. One of the most effective of these has been the limited Netflix series Godless, which was released last year. This 7-episode series tells the story of a town whose male population has been largely wiped out due to a mining accident. As a result, it is run for the most part by the women of the town. The series features an extremely large female cast, as well as featuring females who take on the traditional role of the male as protector. It also further questions the function of the male in society by featuring same-sex relationships, something which has also been examined in the 2005 screen adaptation Brokeback Mountain to huge critical acclaim. To conclude, we are clearly reaching a stage of what can hopefully be considered maturity for the Western genre. While it has reached much success in the last 2 decades with remakes such as True Grit and 3:10 to Yuma, what is genuinely exciting is to see directors and writers explore new and progressive territory in the classical Western genre while taking into account racial and gender diversity.